The Surfing Violinist presents Paddle Challenge, Surf Log 38.
So it's February 29th, final day of February. I've made a paddle every day. I'm sitting in here with the heat on, seat warmer on before. I was dragging my feet, man. It's like you start getting used to the water warming up and then you just take it for granted. This is the other part of the discipline. Like yesterday I felt the benefit of it. This day compared to the day in November when we were surfing, the first day was really starting to do the left point break thing, and Dylan Sims was killing it. And there was this one moment where he paddled past me, like we're both paddling back to the lineup, and he paddled past me and just like left me in his wake. And I was like, golly, I'm just roasted. This guy's out surfing me, he's out paddling me. Yesterday I felt like, I was like, oh, okay, like in terms of paddling, like I'm kind of, if Dylan were out here, I'd be keeping up with him. Like, so this has definitely helped, for sure. But mornings like this are the days that make it possible to have a day like yesterday. So, you know, everybody in fitness and workout regimens, and they all understand this, and it's moments like this that make it possible to have those other moments. But when you're in the moment, it doesn't make it suck any less. The wind, when we had the waves were getting the biggest they've been, this whole swell, right before sunset. We were staying after sunset, and then the wake up is like just totally flat. I don't know, maybe I'll be able to catch a wave on the longboard.
I did, in fact, catch a wave or two on the longboard on the last day of February. It was literally like double over toe, but I found a wave. So that's the other thing this exercise has done for me, is made me appreciate that it's actually fun just even being out there. I think I'm going to be utilizing the longboard a lot more in March and April and beyond, and also even the fins, and trying just to body surf sometimes as well. So adding that to the paddle regimen over time. But just the practice of getting out there every day, it has been very good for me. So let's start from the top. So February 1st, my birthday, was just a paddle day, no real waves. Man, these sunrises, the winter sunrises, were really something to behold. There's glassy conditions on those first 3 days, and it makes for some really pretty GoPro footage. So I even did some little slow-mo on the second at the State Park Pier. Initially, I was paddling from Spyglass Beach Access 1 to the State Park Pier. And that distance was a little over half mile one way, or about just over a mile round trip. But there were days I didn't paddle that far. I'd paddle to the last condo and back, which is just under a mile. So I averaged between 3/4 of a mile and a mile, because some days I wouldn't even make it quite that far. But on the whole, it was around 3/4 to a mile every day. Except when, of course, the surf was up, which in February was unexpectedly consistent. We had 14 days of real rideable surf, and if you consider days like the last day of February rideable, I mean, I did stand up, so it's 15 days, over half the days, rideable wave. We'll take it. So let's take a look at some of the high points in the surf during February. So the first day of surf in February, on the 4th, ended up being one of the best days of the entire month. It started off small at the state park. I mean, it didn't even look rideable on a short board, but I took out the miscellaneous and found a couple little runners at that corner where Dylan Sims had been really lighting it up. And Buxton, Justin was the one that kind of first surfed that corner back in November, and was finding some really fun little swing wides. And I found a couple this morning. I mean, it literally looked like it was like knee high, but some of them still would just let you race. I didn't give any maneuvers in. We're like not even count on one hand how many maneuvers I got, but it was very fun. That afternoon, I went out to the east side of County Pier. It was really unruly. I was on the Cronin fish with the twin fin. And this one, I thought I was going to get stuck behind it, but it let me make it around this section. It was just super speedy, and it was a lot of fun. So I surfed that wave, and then I thought I should go check City Pier. This was on the east side of City Pier. This is right after I saw Nick Alexander got a bomb on the east side of the City Pier, probably the biggest wave I saw during February. Here's Roman getting a little bit of a tube view. There were racer runners on the west side of the pier. Nick A. and Rob Stalvey and Roman were getting some good ones, and I found a couple, but they were mostly outrunning me. The next morning, on Monday, February 5th, I had the day off, so I went to City Pier on the west side, shared some waves with Carl Allen and Joe Stump. This wave in particular ended up being one of the most watched videos I've put on the internet in years. The angle wasn't right, too. I had the wrong zoom factor on my GoPro, but for whatever reason, that thing just went mega viral by my standards on Instagram with over 20,000 views, over, I don't know, well over 30 hours of watch time, and it was just wild. But the waves were really fun. Chase got this footage of me paddling over the shoulder, and I had the first-person view. There were just some really fun ones that morning, and I almost came out of some, but I just wasn't quite setting it up right. I'm really loving that Disco Inferno. I guess I got a little head dip there, but yeah, Chase was even good enough to give me a little blurb for Instagram to promote my violin gigs at Burger Barrel.
Burger Barrel, 6 to 9, a surfing violinist.
On the 6th, out in front of Moonspinner, I was trying to do some practice on the longboard, doing the walk in the nose thing, just at least getting the first steps towards cross-stepping. And I made my first successful half cross-step, and then I went to step back, fin hit the sandbar, and my hand broke the GoPro off the GoPro mount. I was moving like half a mile an hour, and that fall hurt so bad. On the 11th, I had a close encounter with a Herod. He's just coming up and checking out what's going on. It was beautiful. Once again, sunrise at the state park. Took out the Disco Inferno. It was small, but the punchiness of those state park shore break novelty waves, you can still get something going out there. Having a good time out there, and I'm really starting to enjoy this board that's new to me. On the 12th, I joined Tate on the west side of County Pier, and it was wind blowing into the pier, created a lot of weird rips. I ended up doing the walk of shame that day, trying to paddle out back next to the pier, and it just wasn't happening. We found some, and I ended up finding one towards the end that lined up pretty good, but it was a lot of water moving around and a lot of exercise, which, I mean, that was the whole point of February, was getting the exercise. I think this was the best one that I would manage to find that day, and it was actually speedy and let me make it around a few of the sections there. So overall, it was fun, but fatiguing. And then the very next day, on the 13th, I started out at east side of County Pier in the morning, and they were hard to find. And so when I finally made one that let me around the section, let me get a little down carve, I over-celebrated, so apologies. But it was pretty fun little way to start the day. Evening sesh on the evening sesh, the east side of County Pier, was filled with more excessive celebration by all the regular footers in my skill range. It was smaller, but there were still some runners that were letting you make it around sections, and a couple that would even let you get a head dip or two. I was really stoked on this tube, and I showed it to Melissa. She was like, "Nice head dip." It felt better than that. They were like Ninaways tie, but they had a little bit of almond opening, so for starved regular foots who never seem to be able to make it out of tubes of any kind, it felt pretty good. Next morning, the morning of the 14th, I got some morning glass just in front of Treasure Island Condo on the longboard, and I showcased a lot of the chimp wrist. Not the biggest fan of that, so gotta keep working on that.
So in yesterday's paddle vlog, I said that I was 18 for 18 on morning paddles, but I realized as soon as I posted that, I've actually missed a couple of mornings, I believe. Of course, that really wasn't the goal to do it every morning, it's just to do it every day. I've made it every day in February, keeping the streak going. Today is one of those days it's kind of hard to drag my weak noodle arms back out here. It is starting to get used to it. One of my first encounters with surfers was seeing a guy at Sebastian, on the south side of Sebastian, paddle out the monster hole and just see him disappear, you know, over the inside waves and never see him. And I just like was a marvelous mystery to me that this guy could just paddle out to the horizon, and it seems so far out to me, you know. But it's just a reality for surfers a lot of places on earth where It's just part of it, a long paddle. Even with my paddle stamina being improved, my paddle power still could use work when a beach break day almost makes you have the walk of shame. But this has been a very good exercise.
On the 23rd, started out the morning again on the east side of County Pier, and it was showing what was to come. Basically, there were some that were kind of sneaking through. That were had a little more size and power to them, but they would really show up that afternoon. Then that afternoon, I went on the east side of County Pier with Jason Tuno, and got probably one of the worst wipeouts I had all month. And it was paddling for wave, missed it, turned around, and went, and it. The next wave broke 20 yards out beyond me and just totally cleaned me up. So there was a swing-wide section on the east side of County Pier, just about in front of the Easter Island statue at the Goofy Golf. And like I bobbled on that one. It still just gave me so much speed that it kind of chip shot you into that next section. And I never really did anything with that speed, but it felt fun. We went to the west side of County Pier because I saw Sterling Foster launching these enormous airs. And I got over there and just was barely able to catch waves. The water was doing some weird stuff, just a total washing machine, getting you caught in the same spot. And looking at this, I just realized how much I need to work on what I've talked about before, compressing on bottom turns. Like I'm just like lanky the whole way, all stretched out. I got to go back and watch my own videos talking about Mikey Payton's great backside bottom turn. On the next morning of the 24th, I went back to east side of County Pier for sunrise on the longboard and had it all to myself. Again, micro Malibu, all to myself. Morgan and Jared showed up and we shared some waves for a bit. And then I came in once the shortboarders started coming out. And I thought it was pretty much over, but there was still a little bit of a pulse every now and then if you waited long enough. Henry got the turn of the day. It was pretty sick. And I went back out with my dry hair. I was able to catch a wave on the shortboard. And yeah, once again, it was these little small runner waves. And probably my best two-turn combo in a very long while, frontside top turn right into a little cutback. Not going to be winning anything above a 5 in a competition, but felt pretty good. And it felt a little more flowy than my typical setups. So the other day, a guy stole my towel and flip-flops on the beach when I was doing a paddle. And I was like, I wonder if Surfline caught it. But my towel and flip-flops were just off camera, so I missed it. But it did make me subscribe to Surfline Premium so I could look at the Surfline Rewind. I was surprised how wide this field of view is, and so yeah, I might just go out there on smaller days. And I was surprised. There's actually a couple good peaks there, and it's nice to be able to see the beach angle, because sometimes the GoPro angle doesn't show you the full story. You think you're doing better than you actually are, and you see your style and form, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that didn't look like what I thought it looked like in my mind. So thanks to Surfline, and I'll do some of these every now and then. The waves were better this morning than I thought they'd be. I thought I'd be paddling into like just swells that weren't even breaking, so it was fun. And then February 28th, I joined Mike Wynn at the state park. We had it pretty much to ourselves right at the beginning. And it got to be kind of good. Vince came out, Mohit came out, and all of a sudden there were some dumpy, surprising waves right there on that inside novelty shore break sandbar. And probably one of the worst wipeouts actually on a wave I got. I just airdropped to oblivion and the thing broke right on my head. We were getting some views. We were getting pummeled. Even when it wasn't big, it was throwing out pretty good considering the size. And that was the day later on in the day. I was just GoPro fatigued. I didn't bring my camera out. And that was the night I did a lot of paddling. And this was probably, pound for pound, the most paddling in a day I've done in a while, I would imagine. But it was a great way to end the month. All in all, February was a really fun month surfing, and I'm thankful for this paddle resolution. In skate news, I had probably one of the scariest falls I've had since I dislocated my shoulder. It happened quickly, which is good, so I didn't really tense up, but I did stick my hand down. Really lucky I didn't break my wrist, actually, because the way that I fell. But yeah, that put the fear of the bowl back into me. I have gotten back into attempting the rock to fakie again. Bumped into Levi his last day in town, and he gave me some advice. It's helping, but I'm still I've got that fear. I feel it every time I try to do a rock to fakie. I just feel the hair stand up on the back of my neck. So I'm still just taking it slow. I don't want to hurt myself skating and then be kept out of the water for surfing. Until next time, keep it consistent, even if the surf isn't. To see these videos early, without ads, join the lineup here on YouTube. You just need a YouTube account, and for $1.99 a month, you click this little join button and sign up to get early and ad-free access to 4 monthly vlogs: the surf vlog, the violin vlog, the Masala vlog, and the family vlog. Thank you very much.